Hi everyone. It's Sunday, June 9th, 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just got my 10,000 steps in. Actually, I walked 13,272 steps so far. I went to Mass at 5 o'clock and I had forgotten, but it was the confirmation Mass for my parish, Our Lady of Fatima. It brought back memories of my confirmation in the Catholic Church when I was 13. And it's such a hopeful, positive time. The church was packed to the rafters. It was standing room only, with these beautiful families all dressed up in their Sunday best. Like usually when I go to Mass, I just wear like jeans and a t-shirt, and I had like shorts and a t-shirt on today, but everybody else was dressed so beautifully. And the confirmation candidates were just beautiful in red, like graduation gowns. The Archbishop Michael Miller, said the Mass, and both priests, Father Richard Au and Père Claude, were there. It was just, and the music was out of this world. The choir, I don't know what choir it was, but they'd obviously practiced for a long time, and they just blew my mind. The choir was in the choir loft, and they sang French and English songs. It was just beautiful. It reminded me of my confirmation back in, I think it would have been 1969 or 1968. And my mother was my sponsor. And I had a photo of us, but I've lost it along the way. So I was just wondering what I wanted to talk about. I'm sharing these videos as a diary or a video journal of my journey of recovery from the trauma of losing, of being separated from my little brother with Down syndrome, Paul Kierans, who was 64 and 65. He was 64 when his group home, L'Arche, that's L'Archage, a cult. It's a worldwide cult that has somehow finagled its way into providing, receiving cash, taxpayer funds from governments for caring for the most profoundly disabled adults. And on September 12th of 2022, the lawyer for L'Arche, Tara Britnell, told my 81-year-old nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario, who they had secretly appointed my brother's representative to terminate his visits with me, his twice-weekly visits with me. She's truly an evil person, truly a very evil person. But there's so much evil to go around in this story. But the main part of the story that I wanted, or the most serious part that I wanted to convey, is that my brother was isolated and confined to his group home. I'm his last living family visitor in Greater Vancouver. And so when they terminated my visits, they basically locked him up and isolated him to the group home. And he wasn't at that point going to workshop during the day. So he was locked up, and, he just wanted to live with me. I mean, who could blame him? He wanted to be in a family environment, and that humiliated L'Arche. It's all the worst aspects of a cult, and unfortunately, they get taxpayer funds to engage in their cruelty. But Paul, I learned that L'Arche or my sister's lawyer told me on April 15th that Paul had had a stroke. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I raced to Burnaby General Hospital. I dropped everything and I took a cab there. And the cab driver was kind enough to do it for half fare because I was so discombobulated I couldn't figure out how to use my bank card. Anyways, so they said that he had a stroke, and when I saw him, my sister said that I could only visit him under her supervision. So I allege that my sister and the group home L'Arche created a fraudulent representation agreement. So she didn't want me to be alone with him or in any situation where I could get a sample, an authentic sample of his signature. I mean, that was the last thing on my mind. But that's the way she thinks, my evil nun sister. Anyways, so I got there, and Paul did seem to be like sleeping. And I walked up to his bedside and I said, "Paul, it's Kathleen." He grabbed my hand and he squeezed it so tight. It was like a steel vise and he wouldn't let go. But I was only allowed a 10-minute visit. So the evil nun allowed, over the 10 days before he died, she allowed me 4 10-minute visits. Like, why, if he's dying of a stroke, who cares how long I'm there? Initially, she said I could be there as long as she was there to supervise. And then the next morning when I arrived, then she changed it to 10 minutes 3 times a week. And I just can't convey to you. The thing that sort of strikes me about all of this is how profoundly sadistically cruel that was for him and for me. So I just sat in the lobby of Burnaby General for 12 hours a day. Either I was in court trying to reinstate our visits, or I was sitting in the lobby. And I just brought out my laptop and worked on my application for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Canada. I actually got a lot of work done there. And I chatted with the other visitors for the other people there. But what I wanted to continue to convey to you is that Paul appeared to be recovering from a stroke. And everyone that I spoke to said that strokes, most people, the majority of people by far, do recover from strokes. They're not fatal anymore. In fact, people can recover 100%. It's, there's so many good treatments for them. And Paul was in a group home, so they should have taken him straight to the hospital. He should have been under supervision. There should have been no delay. He was not alone. And he did seem to be recovering. The second visit that I saw him, he sat up in bed. He grabbed the book that I brought for him for my hands, turned the pages perfectly with his one good hand. His right side appeared to be less affected than his left side. And he was very diligently turning the pages and reading this book, or scanning the photos. And I was just thrilled. And I don't know if any of you remember, but I made a Facebook post. It was, I believe it was April 19th, that it was spectacular. It was like a miracle. But my sister did not want him to survive, because that meant that she would have to stay in Vancouver or in Burnaby, and she had to get back to her convent. So I believe she told the medical staff wrongly that he was in pain or in decline, and I believe he was sedated to death. I believe that they withdrew the sustenance, so he did not receive intravenous. He did not receive, he was not did not have a catheter. And they just withdrew all medical support and all normal support in order that he would die. And he didn't want to die. The look in his eyes conveyed to me that he wanted to recover like the majority of people do in this day and age. And but the medical staff believed that they had to follow every whim of my sister's direction, and she lied to them and told them that he was suffering. So I believe that they administered pain medication and sedated him to death, because the next time when I went to see him, he looked dead. His eyes were open and not focused on anything, and he was completely still, and he didn't squeeze my hand. So I believe that she secretly or sneakily administered medical assistance in dying, which is not legal. You can't kill incapable people. And I'm working through the trauma of what I believed was happening, was that my brother was being killed before my very eyes. I was watching my brother being killed in a British Columbia hospital, at the Burnaby General Hospital. It was like watching a murder in slow motion. It was watching a murder in slow motion. I don't know how many people watch these videos, and I don't know. And I'm doing everything that I can to raise the alarm about this. I complained to the coroner last week, and the coroner wrote me back and said there's nothing they can do because it was a medical doctor signed off on my brother's death certificate. So I have to follow up on that. I have to get back to the coroner and say, yeah, well, I was there and the medical doctor wasn't paying attention. But anyways, so I'm just trying to keep my spirits up. I'm waiting to hear back from the Supreme Court of Canada. I hope we're granted leave to appeal. There's only, I think it's, I forget what the ratio, it's just like 13% are granted leave to appeal. And the provincial government hasn't even filed a response, so obviously they're so confident they're going to win, they didn't even bother to file a response. But you never know. So please, you know the drill. Pray for us. Go to your temple, your church, your gurdwara, your mosque, your synagogue, and pray for us. It's your prayers that are carrying me through this. I can feel them. Contribute to our GoFundMe account. Click on the link in the description box above. There's only $193.83 left in the GoFundMe account. And I've maxed out all the credit that I can borrow and all of my disposable income. And copy and paste the email, the draft email that I'll put in the description box for this video, and send it from your email address. So there's two things you can do that don't cost a dime and would help. And just mention in the comments to this video that you've done that. It'll help keep me going. I want to change the law so that no one will ever be able, even legally appointed guardians will never be able to isolate and confine incapable adults like my sister did to me. She was ordered by the cult L'Arche to terminate my brother's twice-weekly visits with me, which left him isolated and alone, like solitary confinement. There were dogs on that ward. They allowed dogs and these L'Arche employees. There are these people that are passing through Canada. Their business model is they hire strangers that are passing through Canada who speak English as a second language and who are not unionized. That's the most important thing. The governments love L'Arche because they don't unionize their employees. It's all sort of this fuzzy, touchy-feely cult, Catholic Church cult, which is just the Catholic Church should disavow any connection with L'Arche because it's just a cult. Anyways, take care, everybody. Paul, I missed you so much this weekend. I had a beautiful walk, and I saw so many flowers, and I had a dilly bar, Dairy Queen. I would have bought you one, dear. Take care, everybody.